One of the things I want to talk about today is, and this is sort of why we started the common law, it's difficult for people to do something, to take that first step on a journey and sort of understand about common law. When you sort of understand the reasons why people have difficulty doing that, is because we don't always look after ourselves. And one of the things that we've got to do is we really do have to start looking after ourselves in the way of food, in the way of our water, the air we breathe, and looking after each other. And what I've learned is if you look after yourself and you look after your immediate family and you make sure you eat well and you're provided with all those good things, then you have energy. And if you have energy, then you can actually do something. And one of the things that we've found is that they try and poison our water to some degree. They put aluminium oxides and things in it, which is fluoride, which is an absolute poison. So we try and make sure that where we are, we use tank water. We also use a distiller. And all these things have a cumulative effect on our health and things. So we just want to make sure that you guys are aware of these things and that you can do things to mitigate some of the stuff that's happening to us. Even recently, you're probably aware of 5G and the sort of implementation of 5G. Well, one of the things about that, and we've noticed in Dunedin here where we're based, they've rolled out 5G in certain areas, and before they started doing it, there was the conventional sort of 4G. We took some EMF readings around the place in various areas and sort of took a note of them. And we did it again recently, and we noticed a significant increase in electromagnetic radiation and this sort of thing. So, and I guess you guys have noticed things going up in your area?
One thing I've noticed is that a lot of the street lights have now got these little antennas on top of them.
That's exactly right. That's a 5G system. I think what the aim is ultimately to connect all those units that you talked about, Peter. Each one of those has a receiver on the top of them that they can plug in to the top of the LED street light, and they all connect to one another. And they're part of a surveillance system. So they've got really good video now, so they can track each particular phone. They know where you are, what you're doing. They can get good video off it. So, we're tracked most of the time now. And that's what they call smart cities. There's an English company called Talenza that actually, I'm not sure whether they pioneered the technology, but they have it. And interestingly, they don't even sell it to a city. And Dunedin did a deal with them recently, which we found out about. Talenza comes to them and says, look, we'll supply you with all the stuff and we'll even fit it for you. They roll into town and they use existing telecom poles and this sort of thing, and they attach the stuff to it and form this network, this grid of communications all around the cities. They start in the central part and then sort of roll it out. And even the small towns, we've noticed them doing that. The concerning thing about it is I think you and I and all of us end up the product of that. There's got to be a payback somewhere because it doesn't cost the councils anything. We've inquired. And the problem with that is we end up the product. So you wonder how we end up that way. And what they do is, of course, they sell that to law enforcement agencies, the police. They sell that data to them so they can go and track us and look and fines for various things, all sorts of stuff. So it's sort of quite an insidious way that they've gone about doing it. And we've actually asked the council what their plans are, and they just go into denial immediately. But we know they are rolling it out. You can see it on a daily basis. Pretty much wherever you see LED streetlights being implemented, you have the potential to have that 5G network. The one thing that we keep saying to people is you've got to actually reclaim your rights. I mean, you've got a lot more rights than you realise that you've got, but they've been systematically taken away from you by the system, and you've got to reclaim them. And the only way you can do that is through your knowledge. So what we've tried to do is provide the knowledge for people that can go and research.
Yeah, hey, how's it going? I'm one of the sovereign guys that live here in Brisbane. I've actually been connected with you guys for quite a long time. I'm just waiting for the common laws courts to come about at the moment. So I've been talking to the other sovereigns, and they just said just get in there and yeah, be present. I come from Taranaki. Yeah, I'm gathering that a lot of things have been slowly in the pipelines. You know, I mean, years of work. So I thought, yeah, I'll be of service. I not long just finished 16 years in the army, and I sort of led this way from my grandparents, and my nan was talking to me about sovereignty and that. So I followed in her footsteps, got out of the army, and then I moved here to Australia. Yeah, and I've been off that system ever since. So yeah, I'm ready to serve. We have been running groups and stuff like that, but slowly but surely, like it was only a few days ago that we started talking about like the work that we should be doing and showing our face, because I noticed that a lot of people, they go sovereign and then they tend to like in the background. And I'm gathering that we're more better to come out with everybody else and get behind the common laws, teach people, really make them understand that there is another law out there.
If you could please tell us about your sovereignty process that you went through, the different steps, please.
Yeah. So I had I had massive issues with mine because when it comes to the RG9, the RG9 was the document that was really hard for me to get back from Internal Affairs. They actually said that it was destroyed. The RG9, let me actually pull it out. I've got copies.
Yeah, they said that same thing to me, but what I was told to get from them is get it in writing that they haven't got it or it's destroyed.
Yeah, it was this document here. So this one, on this one was the birth register, and on section 10, it has, this is where you find out that your mother becomes the informant to your father when your father signs you off. So that was a moment. I called the old lady. And then on your RG27 is where he declares you as he declares you into a new birth certificate. And then you get your new birth certificate.
Yeah.
And then we've already gone through the bonds and stuff like that. So I've been used and abused for 2.8 million times, which is pretty awesome. You know, at the end of the day, they've been using my weight in gold, and they've been waiting for me to come back and start spending all of it. No.
Yeah.
And that's my RG9. Yeah.
Okay. So did you get a printout?
Yeah, that's part of it.
So I think your printout looks different to mine because I was born in '55, so they're probably a bit different back then to what they have done.
Documents from Rotorua. So all of your documents were there, was it?
No, they won't. They're telling me that my RG27 and RG9 have been destroyed.
Yeah, that's what they said to me.
Yeah, well, I've already rebutted that once, and so we're about to go them again, but this time we're going to get copies of our letter notarized before we send it as well. And they've actually, from what we understand, the Registrar General that we wrote to last time didn't actually reply. I presume it was his secretary. And that is mail fraud, as far as we've been told. So we're going to go through a different process this time, and we'll try again to get those two documents. But if we know it's a lie to say they've been destroyed, because they can't continue to trade us without those documents. End of story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you get your RG9?
I had the some of the sovereign, the 5 seal sovereigns come in because it started being an issue, and I had a document from my nan because she was sovereign, and she left a lot of documents there, and I attached those to the letterhead that was sent through, and since I was over here, they ended up going through the courts for it. because they just started lying and I got names. But that took ages. Like, that took a long time because I had to physically be there, but I couldn't because of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Started the year. So they done it on my behalf. I just had to write a letter. But it was an ongoing transition. That's what slows a lot of the process down. It's the paperwork, because they do play games with you. They do try and hold you up.
Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
doing that deliberately to stop people getting this. They're trying to stop us. They know what we're onto, and they're trying to stop us.
Oh yeah.
So did you get a lawyer to take it through court to?
No, you don't need a lawyer if you know any of the sovereigns. So they can open up these cases straight away.
Oh, you got a sovereign here to do it for you?
Yeah.
From what I understand with the Common Court guy that I was speaking to yesterday, who was, all you need to do is go through the process on the website, which is apply for your birth certificate, apply for your children's birth certificate, and apply for your ID card. Basically, you've got to serve notice or serve an affidavit, and that was it. Done. So I'm confused.
So once you get up to your affidavit of life, and you've gone to a notary and they've gone and embossed it and stuff like that. You need to notify the people that it needs to be sent out. Now, I think everyone's got their different ways of doing it. So, obviously a copy needs to go to the Vatican, where you have to use vellum and vellum paper and linen, 240 GSM, because there's different materials and stuff like that, and 90 GSM vellum, and everything needs to be written in red. And you also need to send the other documents that you need to send with that, and it goes to 3 different places, because you also have to get apostille on them too, and then one needs to go to the Vatican. So they destroy your soul contract, because these soul contracts are shoved right into the Vatican. So when you pass, and if you're still as the debtor, when you pass, your soul stays here. That's the reason why a lot of people always say, I've been here before, or they've had like deja vu about a few things. It's because your soul stays on earth and you're trapped.
You've come quite a long way down the road. Yeah, we are all registered. Our births are all registered in the Vatican. Our souls are held there.
Yeah.
And you and that sister KV trust we have one for each one of us. So all our resources and energy and everything end up in that trust, and so we're totally used. We're completely enslaved. There's no getting away from it. There's what we're going to do. We're going to post something in the Zoom chat that you might all be interested in. We put it in there before, and it's Gemstone University, and there's a huge amount of information. Go and have a look in there. It's a massive learning curve, but just watch it and understand, and gradually you'll get a grasp of what's going on, and this will help you all.
It's really interesting what all you guys are experiencing. I've had a crash course of it since this lockdown, and had to absorb lots of information and try to work out what's what. And the last bit I've been kind of going down the rabbit hole was with the sovereignty and affidavits. So that's where I'm kind of heading at the moment. Obviously, Victoria, you sent me some stuff that I've been devouring. Experienced the Strong Cities Network in Christchurch. It's really big here. Every traffic light, you name it's already there. But yeah, my focus at the moment is obviously the sovereignty and hitting that and trying to get that in place.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right road, Shane, and we've all got to stick together and do it. The other question I've got for you, and we're sort of been doing a little bit of research on it, is the flag, the original New Zealand flag, which we actually have here. And there's some talk about the fact that flag that was given to the Maori.
Yeah, the Queen still uses that on her boats. One of her boats, she still has that right in front of every other flag. It's the I guess to understand that, you have to understand the language. Because it talks heaps about the language, and it's the tribal flag, and the flag represents the connection that we have with indigenous and natives around the world. Because the language of trade used to be Maori, and in the 1800s they took away the Maori language, and they put it under recess, and you couldn't use these in school. And this was the time where they started bringing in different religions and stuff like that, and strapping Maori people for using their own language in schools and stuff like that. And then when the language came out, it was a written language. It didn't used to be a written language, and that's another story in itself, because they don't know where the Maori language came from. There's no track record on who's passed it on to anybody. And just in 2004, Hillary Clinton changed the trade language to English. Now, it used to be Maori. Now she changed it to English because it went through that recess period. So they changed the vowels and stuff like that. The flag in itself comes all the way back from King William IV. And yet the monarchy needs to learn how to, how do you put it? Sort of look at, well, we already know that the monarchy is a little bit fraudulent anyway. We understand that she's not even meant to be reigning. It's meant to be a king, apparently. But yeah, she needs to respect what's been handed down. We all could have been sovereign people anyway. The whole lot of us, everyone that's here, we could have been already under the common laws courts. We could have already been established. And the monetizing, we wouldn't even have to idolize people that have so much wealth in the world, because we already have the gold and the silver. We would have been fine, but that's not the case. So
that's what we're realising too. And in actual fact, our government is acting illegally because the Queen doesn't get to sign off things now, which she should. Once a bill went through Parliament after the third reading, it was then given to the Governor-General, and then she referred to the Queen to sign it off, and then it was brought back to the Governor-General and signed into law. The Queen bit doesn't happen, so the Governor-General just signs off laws. And the interesting thing about that was that Jacinda put a bill through Parliament that I watched on the 17th of December 2018, a very interesting bill, and it was an amendment to the Arms Act. And I watched it and wondered why she would have done that. And what it enabled anyone to do was to actually buy a firearm or apply for a firearms license online and buy ammunition. And I thought that was quite a bizarre thing for her to do. And then, of course, 3 months later, we had quite an interesting, what I would class as staged event. And the information that I got of that and is building all the time was definitely a staged event. And the person that paid for the staging of the event was Hillary Clinton, because she was here just a short while before. So I didn't really make a judgment on that, but there's so many pieces since then have come together. So I have a great distrust for our government.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know whether you guys watch Avi. He's in Melbourne. He actually debunked a lot of information about that was going on, that there had been jihadists in there, or practicing of that type of religion, or whatever they want to call it. I think if we continue to keep on going, building the common laws courts, the society in itself, because when I talked about it with the rest, well, many of the other sovereigns in our other pods, I told them I'm in common laws courts. I'm looking into this. Like I'm going to be a part of this no matter what, because we have to. We all have to stand in on this. This is for all of us.
We do. We're absolutely right. And the one thing that we've learned is If you want people to be weak, then you divide them. And we're divided politically, we're divided by religion, by race, the whole thing. And so we've got to turn that all around. We've got to come together and form a very strong, cohesive group and say, we no longer want what we've had in the past. We want something different. And that's it.
Yeah, you're totally right about that. Because even with Māori, we're all in this together.